one of
Yep.
the things I want to hit on, Rich, that you brought up, right? You know, were the guys that were promoting this, you said you're training with some tier one guys. Is that where you're hearing it from about like the panning the doorway, like the slow, deliberate?
Ye- Yeah, basically they were saying uh door opens, dudes check 90, and then roll back to original position, then make entrance,
Right. So
that
it's we'll have to talk offline. I don't want to talk about it here, but like the check
yeah,
90 stuff and all that, I understand. But now we're talking about two different things, right? Check 90, and I kind of have my own idea about the unit this is. Like, I mean, let's be perfectly clear. No one in White Soft is really doing CQB anymore. Like, tell me who's operating on the white side unilaterally without partners, right? So
yeah,
this turns into like now we're talking about make believe shit, right? And this is where it's so hard. Like I overseas, right? The military side, I get it. I understand whether it's a hybrid assault, a surrounding call out, right? If it's not hostage rescue, right? It's not a tier one unit doing it. Yes, there are different procedures, but there are also completely different conditions that are
yeah,
present, right? That don't exist in the United States. So the fucking technique is a moot point,
yeah,
right? And you argue this all day long and nobody wants to hear it, right? When I was involved in the military, actively doing this stuff, when the conversations were happening about, hey, a combat clearance, right? Panning the doorways from the outside, combined with surrounding, calling out the target, bringing everybody out. Anybody left in there still wants to fight, right? It was mitigating a situation that units were seeing where guys were blowing themselves up
yeah,
once you were inside the room,
yeah,
right? That's it. It wasn't mitigating gunfights happening in the house or anything like that. But there has to be conditions that are present in order for that to work, right? Right? Primarily, it has to be pitch black, right? Because my nods and lasers will allow me to identify a target, right? Slowly panning the doorway with a little bit of standoff before he sees me, right? It's all done under nods. The second condition is the walls have to stop
yeah.
bullets
I was just
because
gonna
my
say that.
my only out is to retreat behind cover, and then I'm not leaving. I'm not pulling back to the main fucking breach point. I'm standing right outside that doorway, and I'm going to pull a device out to get that initiative back,
Yep,
right? Because there is now a fight that's happening in the doorway that I don't want to have happen. So those were like conditions that often get ignored where, yes, I will spend a little bit longer in the fatal funnel, right? Pieing the doorway. I'm not up on the doorway. I'm going to be off of it, right? I understand I'm throwing infrared laser in there, but at that time, up until 2021, you typically didn't run across nods, right? There was not a near peer threat.
yep,
So those can if we were hitting a house and the lights were on, we're not panning doorways because now it just turns into I see you, you see me thing, right? And I think what happens, you could probably argue that for law enforcement, there are times when it's completely blacked out in the house, right? Foil on the windows, shit like that. But I think you would have to go in and then shut the front door to maintain those conditions, right? There's always going to be some sort of ambient light, right? So does it make sense in the daytime now to have this close in slow gunfight with this deliberate pie of the door? And I think it gets sold really easily for law enforcement. Yes, it does, because we don't have fights in the house. Like the vast majority of these things, right, are unopposed, Chris.